Welcome back, Nick Lenz's Comic Corner. Classics, that's non-classics. Sorry it has been a little while since it's been about a couple weeks since I did one of these, but I gotta have 500 books to review. And I do have two. And this is Doubleshot 240. 10 more to go before I get to my 200 Doubleshot. First up is this really big book known as Doctor Who, The Eye of Torment. Now this collects comic strips. They're published in Doctor Who magazine, issues 477 to 488. There are 4 stories in here. The Eye of Torment, which is the title story, Instruments of War, Blood and Ice, and the Crystal Throne. Eye of Torment is basically, it's the characters in the cover, and they fight these creatures. It kind of feels like a ripoff of a 10th Doctor episode, but told with the 12th Doctor. Okay, it's an okay story. The artwork is gorgeous when it comes to these stories. Yeah, here's the artwork for the first story. Okay, the second story, I actually love the second story because you have the Doctor team up with Field Marshal Rommel, the real life Nazi general who basically was famous and basically died after the events of Operation Valkyrie. Yeah, he appears in here. And that one, out of all the stories in here, that one's, well, it's not the longest. It's this one's 3 parts. And it's a really good story. You see the return of the Centaurans, who look like this. Yeah, the Centaurans. And they speak with a German accent. I don't know why, but it's great to see the Centaurans. Now, as far as I know, the 12th Doctor to date has not counted the Centaurans on screen. I know the 11th encountered them at least once during Matt Smith's incarnation, but Barry Capaldi never counted the Centaurans, but it was a really neat story. Next came Blood, and that was deal with cloning and experimentation. But my favorite part of the story is that the place that the Doctor went to was a place where the first time he ever regenerated. Back in the episode, The 10th Planet. Yeah, they actually make a reference to 10th Planet here when we mentioned the Cybermen. No, there are no Cybermen in the story. It's just that, well, Doctor remembering the first time he regenerated. And going back to that place, that was a really neat nod to continuity. The last story does not involve the Doctor or Clara, who actually is in the first 3 stories with him. Now, this one's the shortest. It's only 2 parts. The Crystal Throne. Well, actually, the only Centaur technically he's counted as the one from the previous one. You have the a trio known as the Porner Gang, which consists of a female Centauran, a human woman who actually is the female Centauran's wife, and a Centauran nurse, and they fight monsters in Victoria, England. It's a nice story. I would have also liked it if they would have basically made an ongoing series of this, the regular TV series. It would have been interesting. But I know BBC passed on it. Maybe because the thing was too expensive. It's not CGI. It's basically practical effects. Okay. But of the 3 stories, my favorite one aside from the Crystal Throne, which I actually love that story, was really good. It didn't involve the Doctor, but it was a really great 2-parter. My other one I did enjoy was The Instruments of War. Seeing Rommel and the Centaurans was a great story. And apparently also involved the Rotan, the Centaurans' enemy, which is the first time in a comic book I've seen these 2 encounter each other. And also the first time they encounter each other with a Doctor there. It's a great story. Trying to track this down be kind of tough because this is published by Penny Comics, and I'm surprised Larry even had this thing. I just found it like leaning like this on the shelf. I'm like, what's this? Pull it out. It's a Doctor Who trade. Yeah, but it's great. I do recommend it. The thing is only just $20. This is by U.S. currency. Now, this is published by Penny Comics, which is a British publication. Now, currently, they don't own the rights to publish Doctor Who comics. That right, well, maybe the regular ones, but I think the other company that publishes them is Titan Comics. But this is just the comic strips. So maybe the Penny Comics had a license to publish those, but not the current ones. This is still good. 9 out of 10. This is awesome. I know that I'm kind of basically going away from Marvel and DC, but what else I'm going to review? Next up is a trade I've always wanted to talk about on here. Batwoman, Elegy, written by Greg Rucka and artwork by J.H. Williams III. Collecting only 7 issues of a 10-part feature. Well, 10-issue feature featuring Batwoman, pages of Detective Comics. This covers the issues of 854 to 860. And pretty much it's just Batwoman versus Alice. And that happens for like the first half of the story. The other part of it is basically dealing with her backstory, which, in case you don't know, for the film Batman Bad Blood, they actually adapted the origin story from this storyline into that very film because the movie was pulled from various different sources. But she'll show up the artwork for J.H. Williams III. This book is really, really good. It's well told. I do have one problem with this trade. It does not contain the 3-parter cut of story. I do not know why. It would have been nice if DC would have done a trade collecting that. Maybe also an opening story of Wonder Woman 600. Maybe something else collecting Wonder Woman. But no. Yeah, still this very day. And this trade came out, believe it or not, 6 years ago. Yeah, this book is 6 years old. I'm surprised it's in okay condition. It's a little bit bent out of shape. But the story in here is still well told. It's still really good, even after all these years. Now, one of the reasons why I'm trying to do this, because I have heard that the Batwoman title is coming back. Well, this time written by Margie Bennett, which I tweeted her basically and told her in a tweet that I'm looking forward to her run. What I didn't tell her was that I'm hoping it's better than what Marco Drago did to this character. Now, Greg Rucka did create this version of Batwoman. Now, the reason why I say he didn't create this version, because the original first showed up back in the 60s. In the pages, well, basically it was just prior to the start of the new era face thing. Well, prior to the whole goofy, campy stuff. Yeah, and here's the thing. She was not a lesbian, like she is depicted in here. She was a woman who basically... Now, the reason why they came up with the character was so that they can disprove the whole theory of the fact that Batman and Robin were in a homosexual relationship. So they came up with Batwoman. And Grant Morrison kind of retconned this. That Batwoman still exists, believe it or not. And here's the thing. That Batwoman is this Batwoman's aunt. I'm not kidding. She really is. Look up Grant Morrison's most recent Batman Inc. series. They actually retconned the fact that she actually is alive. Yeah, and she also killed Talia at the end of the Batman Inc. series. But pretty much, this is a great story. I highly recommend you anybody who watches, track this trade down. This book is awesome. It's a well-told story. Now, J.H. Williams did later on do the artwork for the Batwoman ongoing series for the first 24 issues before he was forced off the book due to controversy. What was the controversy? You see, him and Haydn Blackman, who was the writer, Greg Rucka had nothing to do with the title. He would move on to their stuff. They wanted to do 2 particular things. One, they wanted to give Killer Croc a new origin story, which was later told by Tim Seeley in the Killer Croc one-shot. And they wanted to have Batwoman and Maggie Sawyer get married. That was the bigger one. New 52 origin story for Killer Croc. I mean, the origin of Tim Seeley was actually really good. But I would have loved to see what Haydn Blackman, J.H. Williams would have done with that origin story. But the bigger one, and this is probably the biggest controversy, and this only happened just a few years ago. I'm not kidding. Look it up. It only happened just 2 years ago. This happened, where after 24 issues, they were forced off this book. They were forced off the Batwoman ongoing series. This is just Detective Comics. They were planning on having them married, but for some reason, DC higher-ups did not want to do that. Now, one of the reasons why I had heard the reason why they did it were Batwoman proposed to Maggie, which they were dating at that point. Now they can't do it anymore because Maggie's back in Metropolis. One of the reasons why they did it is because Marvel at the same time did the first ever homosexual marriage, first ever gay marriage. between Northstar and his husband in Astonishing X-Men number 51. Well, in 50 they actually had where Northstar proposed to him, and 51 basically where they got married. Now, basically, Hedy Lack was like, that's interesting. Let's do a Batwoman as well. And she's got a girlfriend, let's do it too. And everybody, now, here's the thing. Batwoman getting engaged. This was positive reception. But one thing that drew negative reception was DC saying, no, they can't get married. I'm like, really? Why? Even to this very day, it bothers me the fact that DC would not allow Batwoman to marry a girlfriend. And yes, they did confirm in the Detective Comics book, which Batwoman is featured in the book again, that she did have a past relationship with Renee Montoya. They kept that canon, which I'm very happy that James Tynion IV kept that canon. So you can definitely say that this book definitely did happen, per se. It as far as I can tell, this book is canon with the current continuity, the one that started 5 years ago. And Rucka himself has since come back to DC Comics. Right now he's doing Wonder Woman. As for J.H. Williams III, I have no idea what he's up to nowadays. But anybody who reads the Batwoman book, after the first 24 issues are really good. The 40-issue book that ended a couple years ago. Here's the thing. Actually ended, I think, last year, believe it or not. I think it did. Yeah, it ended last year. That the first 24 issues are really good. After 25 was a good start, but starting issue 26, the book goes completely downhill. The first ending was really good too, but Mark Andrego's one was either mixed or just really awful. And basically, DC treated him as their yes man. Yep. But suffice to say, this is so good. 9.5 out of 10. Highly recommend you track this down, especially if you're interested in trying to get someone like who's not Batman. I mean, the only reason why that her feature ended after only 10 issues was because they wanted a Batman in Detective Comics, so they ended the book after 10 issues, but they did give her an issue 0, which was later collected in the first trade for Batwoman, which I know J.H. Williams did do the artwork for that issue, and I think Rucka wrote it. Yes, I think Rucka wrote it. I had to do a little research on that, but suffice to say, I'm looking forward to the Batwoman title, and I know that the according to the January solicits that came out a couple days ago, at least yesterday, that in January they're actually going to set up. Basically, they're giving Detective Comics what I like to call a backdoor pilot. Basically, they're doing a storyline that sets up the Batwoman series. Now, as far as I know, she's not leading it, but they're setting up the Batwoman ongoing series, which I'm looking forward to reading. Okay, so that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode, which should be episode 311 and Doubleshot number 241. Okay, but until then, I will see you there. Bye.